A shout out to our podcast sponsor, sportsponsorship.co.uk. If you or your business are interested in making a real difference to the Scottish game, supporting hundreds of kids into regular football, get in touch with sportsponsorship.co.uk and they'll find the right fit for your brand. Right, hello, welcome to Tin Pot, Scottish football podcast with a bit of an alternative view. Three mates chatting all things Scottish football. I'm Tom Leask, your host, and I'm joined by my two mates, Matt Strugnell and Andrew Guild. How are you, boys?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good.
Good. Enjoy the weekend of Scottish football action.
Full of drama, absolutely full of drama. Cup final was, I was going to say a highlight, but obviously I need to watch who's listening. But yeah, really surprising with the cup final. Anyway, biggest shock of the weekend. Just can't really believe how much Celtic weren't really up for it. You know, I was thinking back on the game after watching it, and you know, even just having the clear-cut chances like Maeda one-on-one, fluffing his lines, it just wasn't the sort of clinical Celtic you'd expect. But Aberdeen were gutsy in defence. I know, obviously, the goal was a bit fluky, a bit of a Schmeichel mistake, but I mean, so was Celtic's goal as well. And the way that they handled the penalties was just superb. Actually, some really good penalties were taken, and they could have easily wobbled after McGregor, missed that first chance. I actually thought they would. I thought they would start to crumble under the pressure, but they didn't. They were just so clinical in that moment and so determined to take their chance. So, yeah, hats off to them. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Keen to dive into that in a bit more detail and get your take on it as well. Matt, there was obviously not a usual full card of fixtures over the weekend, but we've had McTominay, as you can see from behind me, that was a highlight of the weekend on Friday night with Napoli. Him and Billy Gilmore doing Scotland proud. In Europe, we've had the cup final yesterday, and probably picked a bad time to record our first episode. We've got the playoff final on the go, so we can have a bit of a live reaction to that as it unfolds as well. So that's pretty much everything that's to come in this first episode. We've got our usual quiz as well at the end. I say usual, we've not had an episode yet, but that's what you can get used to if you're going to be listening or watching along. We've got a quiz at the end of the podcast. You can get involved in that yourself and think about what you might answer as we go. And yeah, I think that really is what you can expect from our podcast going forward. But it'll be a wee bit of live reaction to whatever's going on in the Scottish football world, a wee bit of our own take on the games. We're by no means experts of Scottish football, just fans. That's a given by the name Tin Pot. Just like Scottish football, this whole production is Tin Pot, but we embrace it. So yeah, we'll give a wee bit of insight and also talk about our memories in the game. Just talk about a wee bit of nonsense involved as well. We're all big foodies, so I'm sure that'll play a part in the podcast as the series continues. But I think, yeah, Friday night's probably a good place to start. I know you've given a wee synopsis of the cup final, Andrew, but Matt, did you manage to catch the Napoli game on Friday?
No, unfortunately, I do not have a subscription to TNT Sports, nor any other stick that you can watch certain games on, but I have seen the highlights, and I have...
Probably not on that bandwagon, well done.
I don't know, I have seen the celebrations, and obviously our boy, Scott and Billy, playing a key role in what is an amazing turnaround for Napoli this season under Conte. I think when they both went to Napoli, you could say it was a surprise. I don't know. McTominay was, a pretty solid player at Manchester United. The fans seem to rate him quite highly. I don't know if he was played in his best position at United. I mean, in his last season, I think he did score 7 goals, so I think they were starting to move him further up the pitch. But I mean, have this season, in his first season in Serie A, to win Player of the Season, win the league with Napoli. I mean, it's been an amazing season. He's just continued on his goal scoring form from when last year was when he was doing it for Scotland. When you get high on that confidence, and you've got a manager that plays you in the right position and drives you forward like Conte will do,
Yeah, pretty embarrassing when you're Man United. You've just lost a final on Wednesday, finished in 15th, I think it was, in the Prem at the end of it, and your player that was just discarded for tuppence really goes and well, not just goes and wins the league with Napoli, but is their MVP, player of the season, and is lauded by the fans over there from what I've seen. I don't want to make comparisons to Diego Armando. We can't go down that route, but I've not really seen a player go to a club like that and be as loved, to be honest.
not with that amount of hype. No, definitely not. You know, it's incredible what he's done, and you know, it's not a Man United podcast, but you know, there's a clear talent there. You know, there's a clear talent that could perform well in the Premier League, and Napoli have done a really good bit of business there. The goal he scored, I mean, come on, and seen all the still frame comparisons to Maradona with that finish as well. I know again we're not putting them in the same ilk, but it's just incredible. It's incredible for Scottish football, you know, to have a player with that much attention. You know, I know obviously Lewis Ferguson in the previous season was absolutely ripping up trees in Italy as well. You know, but you know, to see McTominay and Gilmore, you know, obviously McTominay's the star of the show, but Gilmore doing so well as well. It's superb, isn't it? It's awesome.
Yeah, had to drag my old man back down to earth. I was seeing him on the weekend, and he said, well, it's 30 million or something that Man United sold him for. So if Real Madrid want him now, it's at least 100. It's the words that came out of Jeff's mouth. So we shall see. I'm sure he wants to stay there in the summer and after the summer, and take them into the Champions League football next year. It's unbelievable that they finished 10th last year as well. You know, it's not as if they were knocking on the door last season.
No.
Or were there or thereabouts. They come from mid-table to
and they
win
lost
the title in the style that they did. There was a few times where it looked like they were going to throw it away.
their best player, Osherman, left under a cloud in the summer. Kvartish Scalia went to PSG in January. So, I mean, they lost the two players from their title-winning season a couple of years ago. Obviously,
you look at the season he's had at PSG as well.
I know, he's a great player.
Superb.
McTominay just stepped up. You know, he got 5 goals in April. Key goals, match-winning goals in a lot of games. He's just a beast, you know. He's just an absolute monster. Like, the size of him, the athleticism, the power he's got. I mean, he would have been brilliant for Man United's midfield if he kept
his stamina as well. To be honest, like if you look at the stats on his running distance and sprint distance in a game, it's ridiculous. He's almost always top for that stat in a match.
Do you remember when Clark first came in? He put him as was he right side of a 3 at the back?
Yeah, that's right.
Right side of a 3. And now you look at him, he's just an absolute monster attacking midfielder, banging in the goals. Like just a dominant player in that position.
He played up top. He went from centre back to up top. Did he not? You know,
he was right. He was centre back in the first
midfield for a bit.
He was the first Euros, Tom. Is that right? He was playing in the centre back.
Yeah, right centre half. He played a lot. It shows where the Scotland squad was at that time. To be fair, that you're having to chuck one of your best midfielders back there. I'm sure Steve Clark saw more in him than that. It was probably a choice made out of desperation as opposed to anything else. But yeah, classic utility man, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. But he's so much more than that, isn't he? Your classic utility man is a bit of a jack of all trades, but
yeah,
I think he's probably must be actually one of the best utility men. Well, I can remember.
That's a full episode in itself. Yeah,
it is, isn't it?
A rundown
it really
of top utility men.
It is. It'll be
Alan
certainly.
Patterson was what you call a utility man, I'm sure.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was just sort of like a diet version, but.
Get Patterson and Conte get on the phone. I think he's been released by Sheffield Wednesday.
Rumours that De Bruyne has been linked with Napoli as well.
Saw that,
would be incredibly interesting to watch that.
And he just suits the Conte system. That he's gone about 4-3-3 this season, Conte, but he plays with Lukaku. He likes a big striker, like a physical striker who can hold the ball. And then you need your runners from deep, and that's what Tomine does brilliantly. You know, getting in the box.
All of McTominay's goals that I've seen, or the ones I can remember anyway, the ones that spring to mind are getting the ball to either out wide, getting a ball in, you get a knockdown and he's at the edge of the box to put it in, or the ball gets to the byline, you cut back and he's there. And it reminds me of the goal he scored against Spain, I'm sure. He arrived just outside the box and popped it away. So I think Lukaku's definitely been a key in his success as well, definitely.
He only really is successful playing one way, Lukaku, especially these days. So it's exactly how you should play him. That's it. He's too many times in the past he's been kind of looked at as a target man to try and almost do too much up there. You know, finish it off but that link up play is where he's good. He's always been sort of big and strong. But that's where Lukaku maybe fell off for quite a few seasons, I guess. And McTominay's kind of the perfect partner. Yeah. So Napoli are going to want to hang on to him.
That goal Lukaku scored on Friday was stereotypical Lukaku goal as well, wasn't it? That ability to muscle off the defender,
Yeah.
He's got a turn of pace as well, to be fair to him. And then
Yeah.
the finish is unbelievable.
How
But
old's
the
Lukaku
scenes,
now?
He's been going
No
since about
idea.
16, I think. He's like early 30s, so he's been going like a long
Yeah.
time. Like I remember
Yeah,
he
it
played in the.
seems like he should be older.
He played in I think Ferguson's last game as manager when he was like West Brom Man United drew 5-5. I think he was playing then. I think he scored.
the 5-all game.
Yeah, and it's just he always does it. Like he gets a. I don't know why people write him off, but anyway, he's not Scottish, so who cares about him, eh?
If there's any link I can make to a Scottish player, we'll make it. Dear me.
Super.
Aye. More Scottish people were involved on Saturday, was it? The Scottish Cup final? Yeah, aye, it would have been.
Yeah, Saturday, yeah.
That weekend just flew by. And yeah, like you said, Andrew, we've touched on it a wee bit in the intro there, but biggest shock in a Scottish Cup final I can remember since, you could argue, since 94 maybe, when United beat Rangers. I mean,
yeah.
Can't think
I know St Johnstone did the cup double, but wasn't quite under the same circumstances.
No.
You know,
and I think beating Hibs is never going to be quite the same as... And it's the way that they came into the final as well. Aberdeen were hopeless. They'd lost, I think, their last 4 games after the split.
Battered by Celtic.
Just lost out on
battered the last few times. Like 6-0, and 5-1. Celtic absolutely destroyed them.
That's right.
I think all of us just assumed it was going to be a Celtic walkover. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I said 7-1. So.
I don't know if anyone believed.
That's partly the blue nose in you.
I don't think anyone believed Aberdeen.
No, wait, whoa, it said 7. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, just the bitterness, and you can't. I don't know.
I wasn't the only one that said that. Come on, jeez, man.
I think I said 3-0 to Celtic. I think I said 2-0 in the first half. Comfortable, but they just didn't turn up. That was the thing. They weren't on it. Aberdeen moved to a back 5 and just closed the gaps. Celtic weren't fast enough in possession. Their midfield weren't playing those decisive, passes. It was a bit too safe from Celtic, and they're toothless up front. That again in these big games.
They kept doing the same thing the whole game. They were just playing it side to side. It was almost like they were too scared to try and sort of penetrate through the middle. It was just odd. And you kind of look at the result before where they drew with St Mirren, and I mean St Mirren are a decent side, don't get me wrong, but I kind of thought that they maybe just sort of saved themselves for the final, and that's why they didn't sort of finish the league with a bang. But there was no spark there whatsoever. Absolutely nothing at all. And although Aberdeen defended admirably, there was so many times that, the ball was being played at the edge of the box by Celtic, and you just thought, it's that one killer pass that they're kind of lacking. But there just never seemed to be an effort to, as you're saying, Matt, like they were just so safe, like all the time, playing it safe, side to side, thinking that the goal would come from somewhere, but they just don't have that wee bit of magic, and that's maybe where they miss Kyogo a wee bit. I know Maeda came into great form and sort of stepped up as a 9. Ida, I mean, to be fair, Ida's numbers aren't bad, but there's a lot of I suppose uncertainty around the Celtic support, whether he's a real sort of number 9 for them. But Kyogo in a big game always turned up. He always turned up, and he always scored those crucial goals.
And you look at as well the other big signing, Engels, who replaced O'Reilly. I mean, O'Reilly was a match winner for Celtic.
Yeah,
and then Engels again has been a bit. You subbed off both him and Adam Ida subbed off after 65 minutes in the cup final. They're the 2 best, most expensive players.
That's 20 million worth
They're
of
the players
players
you expect to win the game for you. That's why you pay the big bucks for them.
I don't think it can be put down to personnel. Personally, in my opinion, it's the players they had in the park, or the players they had in their squad, were more than capable of doing a job. So Adam Ida, I don't rate him as a Celtic striker. Personally, I don't think he's got really much to his game. He looks like he's meant to be like your sort of big number 9, but I don't think he's good enough at holding the ball up. I don't think he's that strong. I don't think he's not particularly fast. I've not seen a lot from him this season that impresses me, but he's good enough to score against Aberdeen. And I think what you're saying there, in terms of not creating enough or not being daring enough, there was no runs getting made past, like to try and break the lines, to take players away, to try and create space. I saw none of that. And the biggest thing for me was when they scored, their celebration for that goal was like they just scored in a pre-season friendly. It's almost as if we're Celtic, we've been here before, we've won all the cups, and we've scored now, so we're going to go on and win. And there wasn't that killer instinct to go on and kill the match. Aberdeen and Yumi Tulane, genius. I was slating them at half time, saying this is incredibly dull. It's one-way traffic. They're not even trying to get up the other end of the park. But that was their game plan. Just keep it to one for as long as they can. And in the last sort of 25 minutes, you go up there, you press, you try and nick a goal, which they did. And then you've just got to hold off for extra.
That's classic underdog in a final mentality. You can't. He's obviously looked at it and they've tried to play a certain way against Celtic in the league in the last few games, been absolutely battered. It's a one-off game. Anything can happen. He's gone 5 at the back. Let's keep it tight. And they got their goal. They were coming into it a bit more when they made their substitutions. They were getting a bit more territory. And obviously they got a bit of luck.
Big risk that, going to a 5 at the back without having really practiced it. They've not played that system.
Especially coming in as well. They had a young boy Milne coming in who hadn't really started barely any games for them. I think we won game all season at second half. So I mean, it was a brilliant defensive performance. They closed the spaces. Celtic just didn't have enough, and when you can't play like that in a cup final, you can tell sometimes when things are happening. You can tell as longer the game goes on that they weren't up in the ante. Feel it. The tide was changing as the game went on. You felt like it was going to be.
That's exactly why we are called Tin Pot. He's Offski. He's Bojan Mijovski.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah.
I just I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, I'll move.
Improvement.
I'll let someone else.
Yeah, I mean, what you were saying, Thomas, about the crowd. I think Celtic fans are in a very unique position that only they really know what it's like to win trophy after trophy after trophy. And don't get me wrong, it must get a bit boring after a while, but they were tremendously flat, and considering they were up in the game for the majority of the game as well, I really did feel that the Aberdeen fans were bringing the atmosphere, and it's that kind of cheesy 12th man kind of comment, I guess, but they kind of were, especially after that goal went in. I just did not feel that they were going to concede, because the crowd were just so loud, and we were kind of saying it amongst us in the group chat, but the difference in atmosphere between that game and the Spurs Man United final, it was chalk and cheese, absolutely chalk and cheese. So I think Aberdeen's fans did us proud, certainly with their performance on the weekend. But yeah, Celtic, as you said, they've got the team sheet, they've got the squad, to be doing much, much better than that. But I mean, where are you expecting the kind of spark to come from there? I think it's always the same people. It's always McGregor, it's always Maeda, the same old. Matthew was saying earlier on about Engels and Ida. I mean, Ida's numbers are not that bad for the season, but he's not a Celtic 9. He's not showing that quality. And Engels, I mean, I'm actually surprised to read reports that he's potentially off to Atalanta for a profit in the summer, which is incredible business from Celtic again. But I just don't see what he's done this season. I really, he's never stood out, for me anyway, in an Old Firm game. He never seems to stand out in the big Champions League games. Anything I've really seen of him in the league, he's not shown that he's a £9 million player. So these are the kind of performances you need in these big games from these big players. That's £20 million worth of players. That's huge for Scottish football. And you're getting really nothing out of them, both of them getting subbed early. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think if you're to be a Celtic fan listening to this, you'd probably be saying like, "Well, pump the brakes a wee bit. You're being a wee bit too critical." So I'll caveat it a wee bit in saying that they've still had a phenomenal season, of course.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And where you've got to compare them to isn't to, well, in my opinion, isn't to their nearest rival at the moment. It's the standards they set themselves, and it's only a few years ago they're getting 106 points, unbeaten in the league, and three or four trebles in a row, something like that. So that's the standard they've set themselves, and they're playing
Absolutely.
against one of the worst Rangers sides in a long, long time.
Yeah,
So
awful.
You know, as much as it sounds critical to go on and on about that cup final and how they didn't turn up, that one game wins them a treble, and that's what they hang their hat on for the season. So I think it is right that you are critical in these moments.
Definitely. If I were a Celtic fan, you know, I would be critical of that performance in the final, you know, and I know there was plenty of Celtic fans that weren't happy with it, but yeah, putting full context in, you know, they've had a good season, they've got a cup double. In my opinion, they've done a bit better than they normally do in Europe as well, you know, so you know, don't get me wrong, I think their run of games were maybe quite fortunate, but when they got to playing, you know, big teams like, you know, Bayern Munich, outstanding performance, you know, probably robbed in the end, if I'm honest, you know, which you know, was, it's difficult to say it through gritted teeth, but it was a shame to see that happen because I think they deserved it. You know, I think they deserved to go that step further. And that's what Celtic really needed, progress in Europe. You know, domestically, they're comfortable. The financial incentive, you know, that winning the Scottish Cup brings is really nothing, you know, in comparison to them winning the league. It means a lot to other clubs, but, you know, to them, the money side isn't really a massive incentive. They've done good business as well. If you're looking at performance off the park, you know, you look what the miraculous business they've done with Jota, which is absolutely insane. You know, getting Kyogo away, you know, for decent money. The transfer of Engels on paper looked like a good one. And to be honest, it still could be a good one because Atalanta, as I said, are apparently interested, you know, and Celtic could turn a profit there. You know, Ida's maybe not the best signing it, but I kind of felt that that was a more emotional signing on the back of his loan move last season. So I can understand again why they did it. Yeah, disappointed in the final from a spectacle perspective. You know, I think it could have been a little bit more entertaining from a you know, a footballing perspective. The goals were very weak, but it was just the raw emotion from the Aberdeen fans, and you know, going to penalties, the drama of that, and coming away after, was it 35 years or something like that? Aberdeen,
yeah, since
not lift the cup,
it
so
was
absolutely incredible.
It was a cup final of two halves. I'm talking 260 minutes there over the 120, because after the first hour, it looked like it was going to be the most drab Scottish Cup final I'd ever witnessed, and then yeah, Aberdeen turn it on, and again, I don't mind. It wasn't dull in the end, that last hour when they did park the bus again, because there's still breakout opportunities, but at least then they've got something to hold on to. It wasn't just going to be a 1-0 Celtic win, and when it goes to penalties, it's, as Willow Flood said, a lottery. So
yeah, it would have
Some
been pretty
penalties
grim
though
if
from
it
Aberdeen.
finished.
No. Some penalties.
Yeah,
but you're still there, man.
I'm still here. I'm still here. The camera is gone, but I'm still here. It was, yeah, the penalties were great. I mean, when it goes to penalties, you always think Celtic with their record in cup finals, they're, you know, you always think the underdogs will shit the bed, so to speak. But their penalties were brilliant. I mean, Schmeichel got nowhere near them.
no,
And obviously
Two of their most consistent, reliable players all season are the ones that missed as well.
I know.
Your captain, Alistair
yeah.
Johnson, one of the
I mean,
most
he walked up so
consistent right
confidently
backs
as
in the
well. Like McGregor walking up to that spot, you know, he thought he'd scored before he had, and
Some
saved.
save,
And also,
man.
you got to remember Maeda's one actually was pretty much straight at the
Yeah.
keeper, and he was very
He
fortunate
toughed
not
it
to
out.
save it. Yeah, so you know, it's 3 pretty rotten penalties.
You see his body language as well, Maeda, when he hit that penalty. It's like he hit it, didn't hit it well, and turned his back almost before it had gone in.
Yeah.
Which I think was telling of where their minds were in that show, to be honest.
Do you think there's an overconfidence thing there?
Do they just expect it to win on penalties, or are they just...
Well, just expected to win full stop, no
When was
matter
the last time
what.
they lost a fight? That was the first time they lost a final in... I don't know. They hadn't... Obviously, they've won all their finals, pretty much, that they've been in.
Since 2002, since Rangers
it?
beat them.
Yeah.
That was the last Scottish Cup final that they'd lost anyway. They'd lost League Cup finals since then, but yeah, a long time.
Yeah, long time. It's got to
I think
happen
it
at
was
some point.
It's that same game, I'm sure. It's the last time that the team who scored first lost the game as well, I think. Albeit this one was on penalties, but aye, 23 years, I think so.
You know what annoyed me about this is a
Mental.
Tinpot comment. You know when they saved that penalty at the end from Johnson, and then the meat boy wants to go mental, but then the VAR's like, he's like, wait, the ref's like, wait, so you can't just stand there and like, he's like, wait for the VAR to tell you your toe wasn't off the line or that, and then he can still be, it pisses me off, you know. You're gonna go mental straight away, like that just took away, like, you know.
The only good thing that rule's ever brought us is the look on Davy Marshall's face when the ref gives the penalty in Serbia. The old like. Yeah, that's. But aye, you're right. It's probably goes in the Tinpot Hall of Fame. I didn't plan on creating one of them, but I think that's maybe the first thing that goes in.
That's right.
It's so stupid, you know, when like, it cuts to him straight away. You see standing there like, fuck, doesn't know because a stupid idiot ref just has to wait for him to tell him that it was fine, you know. Just fucking go mental, like that's the whole point. Like, just, everyone runs and jumps on him and then fucking go crazy. But yeah, that was
I'm excited to create a montage of your rants by the end of.
I know it means nothing. Like obviously, it was like 5 seconds or that, but I just you have to just
just on the topic of Tinpot. The coverage. I watched it on BBC. I didn't watch the Premier Sport coverage. I don't know if it was any different. I'm assuming it was, but the coverage of that final. For me, watching the Scottish Cup final when I was younger, you know, there was a bit of grandeur about it and a bit of pizzazz. I'll use that word. But I logged in and I saw Stephen Thompson with Rachel Corsie and Scott Brown, and then you've got Jonathan Sutherland with Sean Maloney, I think, and Crichton on comms with McFadden. Like, it was just, I'm not criticising them as individuals, it was just boring. It's just so dull. There's nothing to get you off your seat, like the way they presented it. It was awful.
No, it's too often like that, unfortunately. And it was even like that with the Ladies' Cup final on the Sunday. Just so drab. You know, huge gaps of silence, and it was just like, you know, you'd be as well just not have any chat. Like, just record the stadium or something. It's like, you know, it's grim.
There's surely
absolutely grim.
An open goal there for a broadcaster or for someone to get that by the scruff of the neck, because it's every game. It's not even just BBC. There's a lot of coverage you watch on different channels. It's just, I'm not asking for do you know the CBS show with like Thierry Henry and Kate Scott and stuff? I'm not asking for that because that's Americanized. I'm not asking for fireworks. I'm just wanting a wee bit of quality.
A wee love story between James McFadden and Leanne Crichton. I don't know.
Oh, that's how rumours start. Easy time.
No, but I mean, I know what you mean. I mean, remember when it was on BT Sport previously? It was quite fun, you know. They had a lot of banter, like with Sutton and Stephen Craigan was on it.
Stephen Craigan, yeah.
There was a bit of fun, you know. Poked at
right.
They had a bit of.
Yeah, it was probably the best coverage actually that we've had in a long time. But I think it's just like I don't know, just a wee sort of thing in the cupboard that you know you throw something at now and again. That's what Scottish football's like on the telly. Like it's not high budget. It's not very thoughtful. It just feels quite lazy a lot of the time. And you just get the same every single time. You know exactly what you're getting with Sky. You know what you're getting with BBC. You know, etc. It's just quite lazy. Whereas you almost kind of want something even raw and authentic. It doesn't need to be high budget, but I don't know. It just seems like a lazy format. They just say, yeah, cool, we'll just do the same again. That'll do. You know, maybe that's harsh, but that's how it feels.
I don't know. I'm interested that you guys share a similar opinion. I thought I was maybe just being too harsh, waking up rough as toast from celebrating Napoli on Friday night and not enjoying the first half of football. So I thought maybe I was being a bit too harsh. But yeah, interesting that you feel the same way.
The first leg of the Premiership final, the penalty was a joke. Am I?
Yeah.
You agree with me?
Soft as putty, mate.
I mean, the boy's never getting the ball. His shirt is tugged, fine, but it's not enough to make the big Jordan White fall down. Like, ridiculous. Like, the amount of times in box from a corner or a free kick or any sort of moment you'll tug someone's shirt or you'll pull someone back. That doesn't mean it's a penalty just because you've pulled them back. Like, it doesn't affect. He was never getting the ball. Like, I don't understand why the VAR looked at that and John Beaton looked at that and thought, yes, that's affected him getting the ball, because he was never getting the ball, like, at all. Like, it was behind him. It just falls over, gives a penalty. and then
You need to take into consideration context to when that is in the game as well, because it's his 95th minute or whatever it was. He's going to take a tumble whenever he can to try and win a penalty. That surely refs and VAR need to consider that.
they kind of looked at it and thought that contact was enough to make him, like, that's what made him fall down, like, that's what affected him getting the ball, because he was never getting the ball. But they just love to give a
It's
penalty.
too inconsistent.
They just love to get involved, like, and just sort of make themselves seem important in the whole thing. Like, goal was just ridiculous.
Unfortunately, I think so. Like, I really do think so. I think refs too frequently sometimes can make themselves the main event. It's not just a Scottish football thing, though.
See the boy at the playoff final and they disallowed one of the goals linked for Sheffield United, and then like they've got the VAR, the referee has to like now say like why he disallowed the goal, so he's got to like speak to the whole stadium and to be like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like, who cares, man?
Well, I suppose it holds you accountable. You know, that's the thing. If you're gonna make a call like that in the 95th minute, then you need to have the nuts to say it to the whole stadium. But it's maybe a bit of a deterrent. But yeah, I don't know. It feels very Americanized, very NFL, that kind of move. But I don't know if you're a fan of it, Thomas, but it's not for me.
Nah, not for me. I think a lot of things to do with I was going to say British sport, but yeah, just a lot of things generally in this country are becoming fucking Americanized.
It's typical of the Scottish VAR is just so tin pot, like it's just classic. It's just so rubbish. The crappy camera angles and like the terrible sort of graphics, and
don't even start.
Like the idiot refs are just making these decisions, and there's no goal line technology. Like, but they have. So the VAR's like looking at it. Like,
don't poke the bear. Literally.
It's just
Christ, honestly,
just makes no
worst
sense.
decision I've ever seen.
Makes no sense.
There's been a handful this season. You're obviously talking about the one at Easter Road, Andrea.
Yeah, the goal that like went in and actually sort of rippled the net, and then they're like, "Nah, it's probably not in. It's probably just the wind or something, I guess." But
how can you like literally? I'd love to get someone from VAR, an official, on and ask them how can you get that wrong?
They said apparently they said that there wasn't a conclusive angle, but there was only a couple of angles because it was a game that was only televised by Rangers TV.
Wait, so you're telling me the VAR is connected to Rangers TV? That's the only cameras they get?
I think they share the cameras. I think they share the cameras with the broadcasters, as far as I'm aware.
So if there's a game,
I don't think they've got the budget to have their own as well. I mean, if they can't afford goal line technology, then they must be nicking cameras off clubs.
So for example, it's a game at like Dens Park for Dundee. They only have access. If it's not on TV, they only have access to the Dundee cameras. They don't.
Well, or they'll have minimal cameras, themselves. But you'd think one of them, you'd probably want to have on the goal line if you don't have goal line technology. But I mean, in this instance, you didn't even need it. I mean, it literally hit the side netting. It went into the side netting, and clearly,
you could have got.
It just wasn't. It was crazy.
Could have got footage from one of the many Williams across the other side of the pitch in the stand off their old fucking black to record it from 100 yards away, and you'd be able to tell from there.
You've seen a few of those clips of like Sunday League football when they just go over and someone like checks it, look at the VAR side and goes and checks like a guy with his iPhone or something.
Mate, you'll get more camera angles at a Sunday League game these days, man. Folk are wearing their GoPros and everything. Hey, why is all the players not kitted out in their GoPros?
I don't get it. I just
how can they not connect a camera to a goalpost or whatever? Like these days, like. Well, or some sort of camera on the line.
How expensive is goal line technology? Yeah. Seriously, how expensive is goal line? How can you have VAR but not have goal line technology? I mean, I'm not really too hit up about the whole incident because it was a meaningless game. But I mean, if that had happened in, say, the United game, for example, where there was actually something to play for, I mean, that's a crucial decision that could impact, serious money coming into a club, affect an entire transfer window. That's the thing. Like it could have easily been in another game, and unfortunately, it's surprising, to be fair, that it's taken this long to realise that actually we don't have goal line technology in this country. I didn't know that. Like, I genuinely thought that we did.
Yeah, we just assumed.
I just assumed that we've never really had an incident where it's like clearly gone over the line, but it's not given. I've never you never seen the action of people kind of checking their refs checking their watches, like they do in Europe. But just assumed that every goal is a goal kind of thing, and that's pretty straightforward. But my
Easily
God, like wow,
summarised by the word tin pot, I suppose, isn't it?
oh, big time,
Scottish football.
honestly, so
But
bad.
I will interrupt and interject and segue on to what I have just seen as an incredible goal by,
Wow,
for me, what could be signing of the season, Robbie Muirhead, by the way. Levy just gone 3-2 up.
What a mullet he's got,
Way up
by the
in
way.
Dingwall to go 4-3 up on aggregate. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I saw that top corner colour from the right hand side of the box.
It's a peach, and he's, from what I've seen, I obviously don't watch a lot of Livy, I haven't this season, but he's been incredible.
Great player. I mean, I remember when he came through at Hearts under Robbie Nielsen. He scored a goal against Rangers, did he not? A couple of goals against Rangers, I think, and a 2-0 win for Hearts when he first came up. And then I think he followed Nielsen maybe to MK Dons. It didn't quite work out. He came back down.
He was at United very, very, very briefly.
He was
and then
at Morton.
Was it Kelly?
Yeah, and then he went to Morton a few seasons. And then he went to Livingston. And he's
just not really found a place to call home, I don't think. But, I mean, he's always had a threat on goal.
He's a great. He's got some left foot. And he's a powerhouse, and he suits the way that Livingston want to play, with their sort of more physical football. But he also brings a bit of flair. He's got a bit of skill. Yes, he was a youngster at Kilmarnock. That's right, and he went to Hearts. Dundee United.
Is he going to be one of those players though that can do it in the Championship, comes up and again struggles, that doesn't hit double figures, and then ends up signing for another Championship team?
The thing is, I don't know, you look at this game, obviously there's a bit of time to go, so there's plenty of time to sort of have egg on your face, but
counting chickens.
I mean, there's clearly not a lot in it. If you look at particularly Livingston and Falkirk, in the Championship, there really is not a lot in their squads as they are versus, a lot within the bottom
Dundee.
6, to be honest, so yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I feel a team like Livy probably don't need dramatic surgery to avoid the drop. A few additions, but nothing dramatic. It just shows you there's really not much of a difference there at all. As I said, could be eating my words.
Maybe
but,
the defence.
Ross County were 2-0 up. So, to concede 3 in Dingwall,
you'd have to, I think the defence potentially. I mean, the centre halves are what Ryan McGowan and Danny Wilson, and I don't know if their legs will be able to handle.
On a bit, yeah. Danny Wilson's,
he's been about. Where's he been?
He's been about, definitely. Rangers, Livingston, Liverpool. Sorry, he went, and then I think he went to the States as well.
Just Google Danny Wilson to find out his career history, and there's actually a band called Danny Wilson. Have you heard of Danny Wilson?
Really?
Danny Wilson were a Scottish pop band formed in Dundee in 1984. The band was best known for his number 3 hit in 1988, Mary's Prayer. If anyone...
Shout out to the band Danny Wilson. If you're listening, band of Danny Wilson, we would love to have you on.
Come and perform live.
Danny Wilson in Danny Wilson?
Danny Wilson is not in Danny Wilson. Perhaps he was named after Danny Wilson, maybe.
Or is there a guy called Danny Wilson in Danny Wilson?
Well, do you want to know who's in Danny Wilson?
Danny Wilson.
Members of Danny Wilson are Gary Clark and Jed Grimes.
A couple of brothers, maybe? The Clarks?
Yeah, sounds like that, yeah.
Wilson.
Maybe they're Clarks.
Cousins of Steve.
Relatives of Clarks the baker in Dundee.
Or Clarks the baker. Or the shoe shop.
The shoe shop,
Clarks the baker in Dundee, yeah, that's
Is that the 24-hour bakery?
Yeah.
What's the 24-hour bakery?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. So that's the one.
That's an astonishing.
Drove there one random Tuesday night. I don't know why, but we're just like, let's go to this 24-hour bakery in Dundee. I'd never been. I'd never heard of it in 24 hours. And then the Asda went in 24 hours ago. Body, it was unbelievable scenes. They were rocking up at like midnight buying DVDs. It was unbelievable. This was like when we first got our card in like, I don't know, 2006 or something.
Rock and roll lifestyle, pre having children.
You'd go to Asda, buy cookies, maybe some snacks, some DVDs. You'd drive around the Kirkcaldy prom, sit in the Beveridge Park car park, and then you'd go home. That was it, man. That was the life. That was the life.
Rock and roll.
Oh, but Danny Wilson, the footballer, was at Colorado Rapids for 5 years.
That's right.
He had 130 appearances as well. Only 33-year-old.
It's a good question. We can ponder on it and come back to it in another episode. The most successful Scottish player to have played in the MLS.
I think you'll see Johnny Russell.
And I'm not talking for a one-off game.
Jonathan Russell. Wasn't he like captain of some team, Johnny Russell, in America?
Yeah, he was...
Vancouver, was it?
Vancouver Whitecaps, was it not? Yeah.
Ryan Gauld.
I was trying to think. Ryan Gauld, I think, is probably... I think he's going to be tough to beat.
there's gonna have been. It was a bit of a trend, was it not, in the sort of 70s and 80s? Because obviously, did George Best not go across and play there? There's a few other big names that retired across there. So I'm sure there might be like
Possibly.
I'm not saying Dennis Law particularly, but
I didn't really realise that. Yeah, possibly.
For like a random team
I
that's
just
no
remember
longer.
it being a retirement league, in the more recent times. To be fair, yeah, with your kind of Chris Boyd went over there.
Oh, that'll be
Pretty
forever
good
a favourite.
advert.
Yeah, favourite of Chris Boyd's, that advert. Maybe need to clip it and put it into
Was
this
it mattresses? Was it?
Yeah. It was the Timberwolves, wasn't it? No,
Timber
Portland Timbers. That was it.
Portland Timbers? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, classic.
I wish I could try and do an impression of it, but
I've not actually seen
I
this
would
advert in question.
ruin it.
Have
No,
you
I've
not?
not actually seen this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, man, you've not lived. You've been too busy looking at the back of DVDs and
Mate, listen
and
to
the
listen to
all that,
director's
mate.
commentary, but she's going full hog. Like, no, I'll need to watch. Give me the context. What is he? Is it an advert for the team he plays for? Like,
No, it was for like a mattress company, but I can't actually remember. Like there was some really good quotes in there, and I think it just the way he did it, he kind of sounded a wee bit like he was being held hostage. But
He really struggles to say the word mattresses as well. Mattresses. Mattresses.
In a world where sponsorship is more accessible than ever, that world exists at sportsponsorship.co.uk. Whether you're interested in making a difference to your local community or further afield, or perhaps you're looking for access to tens of thousands of followers online to push your brand further than ever, get in touch with sportsponsorship.co.uk. That's sportsponsorship.co.uk.
ooh, what was that?
What's he got?
the Choco
What was
nib.
that? Sorry, a choco nib.
Yeah, have you ever seen them in the shop? Like chocolate nibbles are called. They're like little bits of chocolate, sort of caramelly, digestive type thing. It's like rabbit food, to be fair.
Oh, all right. Looks pretty good actually.
Man of your caliber surely has better snacks in the gaff than that.
Mate, I love the choco nib. Honestly, you should see the back of the ingredients. It's like, honestly, it covers the whole packet. It's ridiculous. Like, there's about 10 types of oil and about like 6 sort of gums that bind things together. It's just nonsense.
It's like a periodic table,
Yeah.
pretty much.
It's,
Aldi special.
no, I think you get them in
I
a
know you.
corner shop. Chocolate nib, mate. Come on.
Oh, the old
Next time in the
monster
corner shop,
dealer.
have a look. Went in the day, got a Monster, a Red Bull for the walk home, one of the small ones, a pack of Choco Nibs, and a pack of mini peanut butter cups. And I had a kebab pie for my lunch, so there you go. I'm all healthy here. Have you had a kebab pie before?
I have actually, yeah. I had one quite recently. It was pretty good.
At the football, or?
I'm trying to think where I had it. Yeah, it's a really boring story because I can't actually remember. But I did actually have one recently. Chili sauce inside
Yeah.
it was lovely.
I've
The best pie in Britain, the best pie awards was actually kebab pie made in West Lothian somewhere.
Nice.
So there you go.
I had
Fun
it was
fact
in
there.
Asda, and I've always seen it, but it was always £3, and I was, I'm not paying £3 for 2 pies, But I was feeling rather giddy
Generous.
yesterday. Yeah, picked up 2. Quite tasty, to be fair. But, yeah, it
I've
was
only
nice.
had one kebab pie in my life, and it was a terrible experience. I was expecting, I don't know why I was expecting this, but I was expecting doner meat, like proper, chunks
Yeah.
or the ribbons that you get at doner meat. But the one I had was at the Falkirk Stadium, and it was like tiny little chopped up bits of kebab, and just oozing with chili sauce. And if I get a kebab, you might disagree, but I'm not a chili sauce guy.
Your garlic mayo, garlic.
I was expecting, well, not mayo in the pie, obviously, that'd be fucking stupid, but I was expecting it to be plain so you could add your own. But
It'd be nice
Nah.
if you had a chili sauce inside and a wee garlic dip. That would have been better. But
yeah,
do the Kelty sell pies, Andrew? Kebab pies.
No, not
Rovers
kebab
do,
pies,
so I'll need to get one
unfortunately,
next
no.
time I go. I need to get myself a kebab pie.
Yeah,
Make
yeah,
a
maybe a
comparison.
little Stevens number because that's where I got my pie. Did the Rovers get pies from Stevens?
They have a bakery. I can't quite recall which one, but we are
Gotta know these
partnered with a
things.
bakery. Not Stevens, not Baines. I'll go through the rest of them, but
Don't worry, we'll find out for
we'll
next
find out.
week.
Yeah,
Absolutely essential information.
I've not had anything at the Rovers in honestly years. I used to get like a hot dog, like just the
Oh yeah,
hot dog that sits in water, and they'll just like pick it out with the tongs and give you like a stale roll. Back in the day.
Yeah, people try and overcomplicate it, I think, these days.
What food
Yeah,
in
I think
general?
Get back to the old school. For me, a rollover. You can't quite beat it.
Hamden style, mate.
Yeah, Hamden rollover. It's overpriced, but so is everything. So is everything at
I
Hamden.
like how the hot dog's like in the roll, like shoved right in, like surrounds it. Because then usually when you get a hot dog in a bun, the bun just falls apart. You just
It's a proper baguette. A rollover
Yeah.
does like a proper baguette.
that's what you want.
It's the good shit. What are you?
Iron brew, mate. I have to go to bed at a reasonable hour. It's not time you're drinking a Monster past 7 o'clock.
Diet Iron Brew, knowing you, sugar free.
It's sugar free, mate. That's my life. Addicted to sugar free drinks. I've got a straw as well because the dentist was like, when last I went to the dentist, he said, do you drink a lot of fizzy drinks? I was like, yeah. I said, okay, try and drink one with your meal, or and I was like, okay, sure. He said, or you can use a straw if you want. And I was like, yeah, I'll use a straw, mate, because I drink about 2 litres a day.
Difference in a straw make. Surely it goes in your
Well,
gob and it gets swirled a bit.
When you drink with a straw, you tend to swirl it around your mouth, around your teeth. Whereas if you drink with a straw, you can just like take it right to the back of the gullet.
You're a
swallow
part
it.
of the metal straw movement as well.
Yeah, metal or plastic, but it's a bit sore in the teeth when you.
Fuck paper straws. Is that what you're saying?
Nah, just they're.
Metal or plastic?
Well, you can wash these, keep them in the drawer for good times.
For a good time. Useless for a straw Peter though.
I don't know what
Simply
that is.
Yeah,
can't
that's
do that
true.
anymore.
But no, my teeth are probably the same, so I don't know if it worked really, but.
Right, I think, gents, it's about that time. Let's get quizzical, as they say.
Oh dear.
So this is going to be a regular feature on the pod. Maybe need to come up with a name for the quiz, but as you gents know, I host a quiz every other Thursday at Nooch Bar and Kitchen, a little vegan bar in Stirling, one of our podcast sponsors. So yeah, this round is brought to you by Nooch Bar and Kitchen. The whole premise of the quiz is going to be quite simply home or away. I'm going to give you the option to go home. If you get the answer in one clue, you get 3 points. 2 clues, you get 2 points. If you need all 3 clues, you get 1 point. If you go away, it's 6 points for getting it in 1, 3 points for getting 4 points. Sorry, for getting it in 2, and 2 points for getting it in 3 clues. Something related to Scottish football. It's going to be a player, of course, and we'll keep a tot of the scores. And losers through a forfeit, which can be decided by the listeners. So,
Quick question.
yes, sir.
It's ourselves in.
A couple of questions actually. Is there going to be multiple choice like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
No, there is not.
No,
You
no,
need
that's
to
fine.
really
Okay.
have researched.
Is there going to be Phone a Friend like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
I'll cut to the good bit. There is nothing like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire within this quiz.
Okay. That's
And
fine.
just to be clear,
that was all my questions.
If you get the answer wrong on your, say if you want to take a stab after the first clue and you get it wrong, it passes over to your opponent and they get 1 stab at that point. They don't get any further clues. So that is the aim of the game. So week 1, we're going to start off with Matt. He's going to go first. And week 2, Andrew's going to go first. And we'll switcheroo that just like that. So it's nice and fair.
Jesus Christ.
So dim the lights and cue the music. Matt, are you going to go home or away?
Let's play it safe for the first edition of the quiz and go home, please, Tom.
Shite bag. He's bottled it. Right, I'm going to need to quickly look away from you lovely gentlemen and review my trusty little black book, which is full of quiz questions. Or clues, I should say. Home
Black
question
book.
for Matt. Clue 1. An uncapped Spanish forward. That's all you're getting.
An uncapped Spanish forward.
That's one of the easy questions.
In Scottish football, so it's hopefully someone who's played for Scotland.
It's related to
Yeah.
Scottish football, so that is a clue within itself for
I've got
every,
that one,
every
actually.
single
I'm
player.
going to take a punt on a grunt, and
He's taking
I'm
a
going to
punt?
go for Nacho.
That's who I would have went.
He's gone early. Was it the right thing to do? The answer is yes, it was the right
Come
thing to do.
on.
3 points
Have
on the
it.
board. He's
So
up and running.
do we share the points, like 1.5 points? Because I would have said the same thing.
Ex-Wraith Rovers and Rangers. Little striker.
And
And
Dundee.
Dundee.
And
Dundee, yeah, well-
was it Legia or Warsaw he played for as well? One of the Warsaw teams, I think.
Was
in
it?
Poland, anyway.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, I just took a punt there.
And was a manager somewhere.
Yeah,
the
he
23
was.
level.
You know, a bar in Glasgow
Yeah.
or something. Is that?
Yeah. Get into
NN10.
it, yeah. That's right.
You been there, Andrew?
Doesn't exist. Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore.
No.
No.
I wonder
no.
why.
Yeah, it went down the tubes.
So, on to you, Andrew. You can go home or away. Is he going to risk it for a biscuit?
I'm going home because I am terrible at quizzes, so I'm hoping I get a question like that. Fingers crossed.
Your clue, number 1, is that this player is a Danish midfielder with 65 caps for his national country, Denmark, and 5 goals.
I mean, Matt Riley?
Is that you taking a guess?
I can't think of anyone else that's Danish, so
My
yeah.
poker face?
65 caps. So
66 caps with 5 goals.
I mean, I believe he's got 5 goals. Danish midfielder. Yeah, I'm going to go him, yeah. Seems a lot of caps for a guy his age, though.
Final answer. You're locked in.
Yeah, go for it,
I'm afraid that's incorrect.
yeah.
It does pass over to Matt for a one-time stab at 3 points to go 6-0 up after week
Did I not
one.
get second clue? I'm sure I should get second clue.
No. If you listened at the start, you'd understand you don't get more clues.
I was listening. So he's a midfielder from the last.
A Danish midfielder,
Land of
66 caps,
Denmark.
5 goals.
We're talking attacking midfielder. Would you class him as a winger?
All you're getting is the clue. A Danish midfielder with 66 caps and 5
Okay, I'm
goals.
just going to talk. I'm going to think out loud. I was thinking possibly Lovenkrands, but I mean he's more of a striker. I mean 5 goals, he's played better than that. And I'm also thinking Thomas Gravesen, who was a centre midfielder, wasn't known for his goals. I'm going to go Thomas Gravesen, please, Tom.
He's got Tommy Gravesen. It's
Yeah.
correct! It's another 3 points, and it
Come
puts
on.
him 6-0 in the lead.
Bring that back.
I mean, I don't want to promote gambling, but if you're a fan of the bookies, I'd be lumping all your cash onto Matt at this point. It's 6-0.
I
Andrew,
mean,
how do you
yeah.
feel?
I would have been doing that at the start anyway. But yeah, I feel a pretty strong comeback on the next couple of weeks. So, Matt, you better start studying, mate, because coming after you.
Going to make myself here, son. I'm not scared.
Calm as you like.
Yes.
Wow. Well, I think that
Was that it?
anticlimax
Quicker
probably,
than you'd planned, is it?
ends the first episode of Tin Pot. So we're going to release episodes every week, once a week. We'll get you your daily dose. Your daily dose doesn't make sense. Your weekly dose of Scottish football chat. We are available on YouTube. We're on Apple Music. We're on Spotify. Anywhere that you get your podcasts, as well as social media, Instagram and TikTok. It's at Tin Pot Pod. That's where you can find us. Until next week. Thanks, gents.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Have a good
See you
one.
soon.
Bye-bye.